Just a reminder that if you love this channel, this content, and what I still do entirely alone, you can help keep everything going by visiting my Patreon at the top of the description. Don't forget to subscribe. The wind just casually doing its thing instead of awaiting a very serious sounding speech or confession of love. Yeah, let's put a bunch of frames into this reaction for no reason. God, I love this studio! Not walking on the spot, number 9742.
Frieren 様がミミックに引っかかるので。
For some unknown reason, I truly love the idea that Frieren is still falling for these. He's so very passionate about the whole older lady thing. Stark basically pointing out wins himself at this point. Okay, so half this first win is because this is shocking suddenly and full of mystery, reminding me of quests from The Witcher 3 big time. Secondly, it's because, although awkward, the village interior looks lovely. Now back to the people.
次の村に行こうか。フリーレン様、怒りますよ。冗談だよ。
I tell you, it's great how well they know each other now that they can communicate like this.
魔物や魔族が使う魔法の中には人を眠らせたり石にしたりするものがあってね。呪いへの対処は昔から僧侶のなりわいだからね。
As if the whole notion of magic in this wasn't expansive enough already, they further expand upon it by now including curses.
発信源は魔物だ。位置も割り出した。行くぞ。
This dude already proving his worth to the crew by tackling this subject with professionalism, but also the surprise that it all comes from a monster. I know there's loads of monsters, but still.
フリーレン様、シュタルク様が。
Damn man, it's affecting them quickly, eh?
結界を張った。二人はここに隠しておこう。
Loving the use of magic, like it being used to move Stark over the water and then a barrier to protect them both, as Fern now falls to the curse too. A very gross but totally unique looking monster putting everyone to sleep. Some absolutely stunning looking animation as it attacks him and he beautifully dodges those attacks. His own huge attack, all done by hand, no CGI that I could see, that didn't look to do any damage shockingly. A continuous motion shot, and they're mixing it with a rotating shot for a scene of pure beauty. The realism in his line of thinking, going over how 5 seconds might not be enough to even explain what's happening. There's not a true level of trust built up between them either, and more.
彼女は魔王を必ず倒すと言いました。私はその言葉を信じたんですよ。
一人で戦っちゃダメだよ。私が必ず倒すから。
It is so freaking great for the story that he knew Hytale when he was a young lad and how this is able to push him to take a specific action during this battle.
目覚めの怪獣フリーレンコアだけを
Easy max 2 wins for this. He trusted her. She did not disappoint immediately, throwing herself into an attack that hit its core. She's legit. He did well. It all looked fantastic. Let's go.
わかった。
I was initially going to include that in the last max wins, but nah, she can have one extra for that ending. Love her.
でも今回生きて帰れたのはザインのおかげだよ。ありがとうね。
Her continuing her lovely efforts of praising a job well done when it's due, like here. Ah, that's the height of adorable to skip backwards kind of to match his speed and then pat his head well done.
あれがフォーリヒか。
魔法都市オイサーストまでの中継地点だね。
Yet another new city means another new win.
なんなの？
いい体だ。容姿も悪くない。
That was very unexpected. A beautiful, unique looking exterior to this mansion. But also the interior not being any different either, filled with unique life.
バカバカしい。行くよシュタルク。
手持ちのロギンだってさ。
話くらいなら聞いてあげてもいいかな。
How she changes her opinion so quickly like this, but does so in that utterly calm and charming way of hers.
長男のビルト。
Not sure I've ever seen an anime take pictures so seriously. You might chuckle, but look next time how many of them aren't real pictures, more doodles and shapes, or how people have their eyes missing.
一月前に魔族との大きな戦いがあってな。その時にビルトが戦死した。
The sad story of his son coming out, but at the same time, the truly unique story being told this episode got me thinking how wildly entertaining this anime is at its core. Ever finding more interesting ways of showing views of cities and towns?
1年は3食おやつ付きで生活できますよ。
魔導書もつけて。
書庫から一冊好きなものを持っていけ。
Frieren being cheeky during negotiations, and I for one love her for it.
シュタルク様、ロギンのためです。
悲しい。
Totally a small thing, but to me utterly adorable that she backs up to him to do this. Again, like I've been saying, they really are getting closer. It wouldn't be a new video for Ren without us getting an animated montage pretty quickly. Also though, this little moment, check out the pictures, that's what I was talking about before at win number 512. That level of detail is not put into these things. All looks like local areas and people.
どうかな。
似合ってない。
ひどい。
I swear he is behind a solid 75% of the laughter this story gets from me. Too long to show, but this scene made for a very somber one. Stark wonders if he's even able to have moved on from his son's death. Doing all this feels weird. He says it was his son's wishes, but still.
後継ぎになるというのになかなか上達せん。
あいつは失敗作だ。
It's so good to my mind that Frieren and her past isn't the only thing constantly referenced. Instead now, this is a direct throwback to Stark's own difficult childhood under his own father.
大丈夫だ。深呼吸しろ。ここはお前の故郷の村じゃない。
To be honest, a genuinely very unexpected and sweet moment there. It's almost like he knew what life in his village was like for him, oddly enough.
だが努力家だ。積み上げてきたものは決して裏切らん。
Perfectly representing the last win, he's surprised by the encouragement towards his youngest son suddenly.
それともママが連れて行ってくれるのか。
頑張ってね。
I've said it a lot, but it bears saying again. I really like her. Might not seem like it, but dancing is difficult to animate, so when you see it done so well and with so many frames, it is very impressive.
ここ1ヶ月地獄でした。
ロギンのためだろ。
すみませんでした。
Both of them looking really well to do and totally different to normal. Also, a small part of the win is me appreciating the expansion of lore regarding the wealthy. Didn't know this existed. What just comes across as a lovely moment between these two as they share a dance, I must admit. The footwork is one of the hardest things to animate, yet it's beautifully done here. Also her face, she almost looks surprised at how elegant he's turned out. I like it. Have one more here for the dance as a whole. Some parts of it are so shockingly smooth, I was convinced it was CGI I was watching.
お前の戦士としての力量は素晴らしいものだ。
俺はあんたの息子の代わりじゃないぜ。
そうだな。
It's actually really sad that being with him all of this time, getting close to him, clearly meant a lot to the father. So much so he wanted him to continue to remain there.
お前の顔なんて二度と見たくないと、そう言ってしまった。
It's no wonder this whole thing has affected him in such a sadly profound way, in spite of his best attempts to hide that fact. That's horrible, and now he's gone, and it's too late. The lovely moment he admits saying something he shouldn't have to his own father figure, and now wants to make it up to him by bringing home those stories he mentioned during the first quarter video. Credit for going without an ED this episode in order to give us an even longer one than normal.
少なくとも後継ぎには困らなそうだ。
A truly lovely moment as he trains with his son, his new heir, and hopefully pours that attention onto him, and rightfully so.
写真なんだよそれ。
Getting some background for him already is a nice touch.
いいから来いって。
Going first person like it's no big deal. Dude, for real though, how cool is it that mages can take photos like that for you? One of those times I'm looking at it just going, wow.
ドワーフの寿命ってどのくらいでしたっけ？
300年くらいだな。
Finally getting this piece of info was worth a win. I feel like this moment has been built up to from when she bought him a birthday gift all the way through to the dance at the end of the last episode. That's perfection, that is. Same thing as win number 538. All I can say is, wow.
まだボケたふり続けているの？
Well, not gonna lie, that was pretty cool. Nice to see the old man has some serious life left in him. What's that I hear you say? Anime Win-san, does this insanely beautiful looking home get a win? Why, yes it does, my friend. Yes it does. How is it that the animation on something that looks so simple ends up looking so good? I mean, my god, they just sneak that in there as though it's a normal looking scene, and yet it's a work of damn art. Gave me a strong RPG vibe this did, like Skyrim or something. Really pleasant to see her enjoying her time here so much with him, chatting away about the past.
フォルジーは私がヒンメルたちを知る機会をくれたから。
Now that isn't the history I expected. Love to hear more about that.
わしは妻の愛した村を守っているだけだ。
Ah, I knew he'd have a good reason, but it's way more sweet, sad and wholesome than I thought it'd be. Also, it's nice to see how they dealt with his age. You can see way less wrinkles around his eyes back then.
わしはずっと死者との約束を守っている。
とその人はあなたが約束を守ってくれていることを嬉しく思っているはずだ。
That's the kind of man Himmel was. His heroic personality even bled into moments such as these in his life.
ならフリーレンの役目とな。僕たちの記憶は彼女が未来に連れて行ってくれる。
Yes, and that is exactly what has ended up happening. Makes me very happy thinking about it.
でもやっぱりイケメンポーズ集はいらなかったかな。記憶の無駄遣いだ。
For context, he says, I'll have to show you a collection of handsome poses for you to have to remember me by. And then we're blessed with that hilarious knowledge that she actually did memorize them in the end.
わしはもう追い出せない。顔も声も眼差しも。
That is understandable given the length of time, but at the same time, horrifically sad.
ついに魔王を倒しに行くのか。平和な時代が訪れるといいな。
It was already sad, but then finding out, without them even really saying it, his mind is on its way out.
フォルジーの記憶も私が未来に連れて行ってあげるからね。
Her saying this made for a genuinely wonderful moment, showing how much she's changed over the years.
妻の夢を見た。前と昔話をしたおかげかもしれんな。
Oh, what a beautiful notion, that he managed to see and maybe hear her voice again in his dream. And then one more as they leave and were gifted with this gorgeous looking view.
俺の旅の目的覚えているだろ？
年上の色っぽいお姉さんと旅をすることだっけ？
Stark thought that this was the primary reason why he's alone.
名前が特徴的だからな。戦士ゴリラだ。
本名は？
本名？
本当に親友だったのかよ。
This entire exchange effortlessly scores a win. I love how the author could so easily squeeze laughter out of times like this. You know the drill by now. I get a village, you get a win, and we all walk away happy. Might recall me saying it was coming close to overtaking Jobless Reincarnation in terms of unique cities, towns and villages. Well, it's blown out of the water, to be honest. Not even close. It's only very brief, but I really do enjoy seeing everything they want to show me of the old heroes 10 years ago. You know the screwdriver, I get a fully animated montage, you in turn get a tasty win that's in season right now. Not walking on the spot.
クラフトだ。
お、本当だ。
Dude, that is so awesome to see that he too has his own statue among human lands for previous great deeds.
村長によると大昔の英雄だって話だ。でも誰も名前すら覚えちゃいねえ。
どんな英雄でもいつかは忘れ去られます。
I just found this and his statement to be very melancholy for a moment. Quite sad that they're all forgotten eventually in spite of people's best attempts, such as creating the statues.
ではあなたは僧侶あごひげですね。
Oh my goodness, I thought it was a joke when Frieren asked if that had been his name prior to growing a goatee, and it turns out it was in the end.
でも名前のインパクトはバッチリだったよ。一緒にずっと歴史に名を残すような英雄になるってね。
It was in this moment that I felt drawn to Sane fully for the first time and his quest, and that I truly hoped that his friend would still be alive out there. Adding this because it's a stunning sounding track, reminding me of The Lord of the Rings. This building map of where his friend went all those years ago, tracking his progress like that is so awesome. One more here for the end of the episode, as it seems he may sadly be leaving their side soon.
集落の小屋貸してもらったぜ。自由に使っていいってよ。
ありがとう。
Small details like this make a big difference for me in building realism. The sun is going down. They were going to go, but now they'll stay the night in order to further discuss the matter. Pretty much the same thing happened with this OP as the first one. I'm like, yeah, this isn't bad. And then the music and the visuals just get better and better. Beautiful that was. Max wins.
Maki 取ってきたぞ。
晩ご飯の食材。
I praise the same story element in my One Piece series, that being how everyone has their own little thing to do. She's reading, he's fixing his clothing, he got firewood, she got foodstuffs.
どれどれ。本当だ。超冷てえ。
でしょう。
Okay, that is so subtle, but so sweet. Frieren was commenting on her hands and holding them. He saw this and came over to do this. They're closer, but maybe he also likes her, who knows?
遠出はせん方がいいぞ。小屋はしばらく使ってもらって構わんから。
This is so this story, if you catch my meaning, that they'd be caught out by the weather and forced to potentially stay put for a month.
何よりこの集落には怪しい老人がやっている魔法店があるんだよね。
And just like that, they make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside at the notion of life injected into this town. Bars, shops, and a shady magic dude to buy from.
しかし、もうしばらくは一緒にいることになりそうだな。
He says this with a rather obvious looking smile on his face. What's that? A fully animated montage, I hear you ding!
一人ずつ隣の部屋に来なさい。
Such a rare and funny treat to get to see her angry face once again. I love it so much.
この小屋に来たばかりの頃、フェルンが俺のほっぺに冷たい手を当てたじゃん。今日それをやり返したら、フェルンが切れちゃった。
ガキかよ。
Giving this a win purely and simply because, in spite of being with my wife for 15 years, she's much the same. In fact, in almost the same way, except his stuff from the freezer.
わかってます。私が意地になってしまったので謝りたいです。
The best thing about her is that as she has grown older, she's more able to think about things for a little while and then settles down and says she is sorry if she feels that way. It's nice.
触られたことは気にしてはいません。ただ肩を押さえた腕の力が強くて。
Oh damn! I hadn't even considered that. It's easy to forget how strong he is. I figured it was just because it was unexpected and cold. Not that! Wow, take a win for that!
もっと優しくして。
ごめんよ。
Oh, that little issue put to bed in the sweet way.
なあ、ずっと気になっていたんだが、旅に誘ってくれた時もそうだが、なんで俺なんかにこんなに構ってくれるんだ。
勇者ヒンメルならそうしたってことだよ。
Obviously I've chopped away some scenes there, but the gist is what I showed you, and that really spoke to me personally. That was the reasoning behind her pushing so much for him to join them.
君が旅立つきっかけはこの僕だ。
Oh heck yes, even just seeing that little moment made it worth a win. A montage filled with their exploits together thus far that shows that, when done right, even the character, who hasn't been in it for all that long, can feel as though he really and truly has been. Not running in the past on the spot!
やっぱり俺はゴリラを追いかけるよ。じゃあ元気で。
またね。
またな。
2 wins. Firstly, I must admit, I'm really gonna miss the guy. I'm sad now. Secondly, it reminded me of when she left the heroes originally and it felt kinda cold because that's how she was back then. But here she's far warmer. I liked that progression. Real wholesome to know he truly enjoyed his time with them and will miss them too. Doesn't matter if it's a population centre, a dense forest, a rocky path or the snowy mountains, the studio nails it.
フェルン？それよりフェルンが具合悪そうで。
How the author pretty much covered them all growing weak at some point, which is normal, they're not superhuman. Finding a charming little farm to hunker down in whilst Fern recovers from her nasty cold.
ここに来てからずっと手を握っているな。
辛そうだからね。風邪をひいた時、手を握ってあげると安心するんだよ。
Has she not just become the sweetest little elf to ever live or what? She's been holding her hand all this time because she knows it makes her feel better when she's sick. Goodness me!
あと2年もすれば立派な大人か。ちょっと前までこのくらいの女の子だったんだよ。
That also shows how much she has grown herself over the years as she's reminiscing about when Fern was just a little girl. In fact, looking back, it's hard to think she was that small, but she was. Think it's been a little while now since I gushed over the fact that they animate them walking everywhere, so take that win here again. This just reminded me of that awesome fact. Animating that montage like a boss! Being nice to animals is always a win. Plus, didn't Fern do this in the first quarter video too? What a beautiful sight. This anime is so full of them, but I still appreciate each time it happens.
風邪の時は心細いからね。幼い頃亡くなった母はこうしてよく手を握ってくれた。
悪くないかも。
Us finding out where the holding of the hand when someone is sick originated from for Frieren, I'm so blown away still by how this is Bakugo's voice. He sounds so lovely.
よいしょっと。
思ったよりもでっかい。怖い。魔女みたい。すごく怖い。
Remember when I said he has the best reactions?
あんた上手だね。助かるよ。
I like little things like this, basically showing that A, he's still a helpful lad in general, and B, he's helping to pay back her kindness of letting them stay there.
くれぐれも体には気をつけていくんだよ。
本当にありがとうございました。
Small win, but how well they handle the distance audio. Legit sounds like she's quite far away. The song remains the same, but the ED gets brand new visuals that look stunning with numerous different artistic styles used on it. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
あれが北側諸国最大の魔法都市オイサーストか。
まだまだ遠いね。
Two views of the city so damn good looking I had to show it all and then talk over it. A truly beautiful looking RPG vibe to the whole thing. I'm in love, considering marriage. Animating them through the whole scene when they really didn't have to.
昔から北部高原はアインザームみたいな狡猾な魔法を使う魔物が多いからね。
Finding out why they need a super powerful mage to go with them if they wish to travel north, and even though I pretty much knew the answer, the description was so much better than what I had in my head. Oh, you already knew that was getting a win, didn't you?
ロー魔法使いって言うの。
ああ、拗ねちゃったぞ。
Toot to Dobbs!
クソババアって言ったことも忘れてないから。
いつの話だよ。
Also, have another here because it only just hit me that even though she seems to not care, she clearly does remember and care about the things said to her.
どうしたんだよ。
空が半分しか見えなかった。
Her getting slightly annoyed at clearly how much Fern has grown over the years.
私は今までの人生で自分より魔力の低い魔法使いに11回負けたことがある。
Learning, quite shockingly if I'm being real, that she's lost duels to 6 humans, an elf, Qual, and 4 demons.
そろそろ伯爵領の町が見えてくるかな。
Melise from the excellent 86, which I've covered by the by.
さっさと荷物まとめて。
First of all, massive shock that he'd turn up suddenly to aid her, even though she was very likely in control there. And secondly, it's because, yay, it's him, I missed this dude. How effortlessly he takes out the remaining 2 with just his hand and not even dropping his bag.
あれ、もしかしてエルフ？
Kawaii!
俺はお前を助けたわけではない。近くの森に切り刻まれた盗賊の死体があった。魔法使いの仕業。
Learning more about her and her confident abilities, and also a little more about why he stepped in, not to rescue her, just to stop further bloodshed. Making the outside and inside of this building look strangely official and magical.
フリーレン様、私一人じゃ無理です。
いけるって。
These two looking calm on the surface, but struggling to pull both ways. So simple, but so awesome. Magic street lamps. Not to be outdone, we then get a wide scene of the street. Many magical lamps. Lots of people and the buildings looking stunning.
でも僕たちは君がすごい魔法使いであることを知っている。それでいいじゃないか。
私たちはフリーレン様がすごい魔法使いであることを知っていますから。
As in the past, so in the present. Both teams showing their utmost faith in her abilities, no matter what anyone says. A shocking amount of detail went into this large room. This entire scene gets one for one of the best mage-related info dumps I've come across, all slowly told to us. How there used to be more mages, how people often fail the exam, and even more details. Fully animated montages are always getting a win.
これより一級魔法使い選抜試験を行う。
Lemillion from My Hero Academia and Date from the amazing AI The Somnium Files games. How they don't merely introduce their names saying, oh, X is very strong, Y is tough too, but instead give us a backstory on each that is genuinely very interesting, especially the old man.
では、組み分けを行う。
腕輪か。
This really starting to feel like a kind of tournament arc of sorts, and I for one am totally here for it.
取れちゃう。ふざけんな。殺してやる。やってみろ。
The only thing I felt this anime was missing to a small degree was a few more unique secondary characters. So imagine how my heart soared when I saw this and the prior introductions.
第一次試験の具体的なルールを説明する。
What is this, an episode of One Piece with such a huge, unique-looking crowd all done by hand? It's all just outrageously good-looking. Like, I'm furious.
バカかお前。見つけねえことには作戦の立てようがねえだろうが。
Itchy from Bocce the Rock. 2 angles of not walking on the spot. The semi-quiet fighting going on during the conversation.
上出来だぜ、観念。
What interested me right away is that clearly these two are masters, or rather, you know, good at magic, from 2 specific schools, likely water and ice manipulation, further expanding magic lore.
なんで？最大飛行速度は音速を超える。
Oh, you already knew it was getting a plot twist win, didn't you? Giving us more than one fully animated montage in an episode, have they gone mad?
ってことはもしかして。
I watch a lot of horror films. I'm rarely shocked. This shocked me. Well played. How come she's just the best though? What a save from her. Real glad to see some background for both of the girls already. That's unexpectedly quick for this story to date.
本当は臆病なくせに頑張っているところ。お前のいいところだよ。もっと言って。なんでだよ。
Little light interactions such as these already make me rather fond of the girls, I must say. It's quite funny too.
笑っている顔が可愛いところ。え、キモい。
That was so damn good. My god, the comedy can be so top tier in this one.
ほら、やりゃできんだよ。
Totally adorable as they talk to each other in their sleep.
怖いのかハイゼン。震えているぞ。他の冒険者を真似て鼓舞するつもりだったんだが。
ヒンメル、自然体でいいですよ。こういうのはきっと冒険の仲間ごとに変わってくるものです。
なるほど。確かに仲間ごとに違うみたいだ。
I really enjoyed this exchange because it made it obvious that people have been going on adventures for many years and they're always different. He just wanted to be the best hero he could be. Makes sense how she'd have it but still remain cool that she picked up a spell that allows her to capture a bird.
民間魔法だからね。大雑把に鳥みたいなやつは全部捕らえられるみたい。
Further expansion of magical lore as we learn about folk magic, an entirely different kind of working magic.
この魔法の射程は50センチ。そこまでは近づかないとダメなんだ。
Giving a perfectly valid reason how it's not a cheat or a plot hole as to why she hasn't used it beforehand. Good how the damage she got the night before has carried over into the next day and hasn't been fixed magically. Showing that because once more I'm blown away by the music. It's fantastic.
他のパーティー全員に喧嘩を売ることになるぜ。
でも多分こうでもしないと捕まえられない。
I sense we're going into some action and I'm ready for it. Been a short while since the last big battle.
怖いの？ロビーヌ。
This all of a sudden so quick. We're heading into action station, baby. Very quick but smooth as butter continuous motion shot.
面倒くせえな。殺すつもりで撃ったんだぜ。
Sean from Attack on Titan. The, quite frankly, incredible animation on her changing the water into ice like that. Smooth as butter running animation, goodness me. Man, oh man, even the fire animation is done entirely by hand and looks great.
時間と労力の無駄だ。溶かしたところで意味はない。
Theo McGaff from Attack on Titan. It's very simple looking, but a lot went into that. He breaks a shield, she dodges in slow motion the magical attacks, they're all jumping and twisting, looks amazing. Going quite dark here with the tone, showing that people take this test totally at their own peril. If you're not strong enough, there's a real chance of being taken out like this.
見えていないわけではないだろう。上空を旋回している。1匹や2匹ではない。
受験者が死ぬのを何とも思っていないみたいだ。
The old man's seriously proving himself to be very wise and strong. It's no wonder they made him the leader. Guy knows what he's doing for sure, and it makes for a very interesting character. Seeing how the very well-to-do, high-ranking mages watching over the test are living in comfort inside the barrier was a nice added touch.
わしは自分よりはるかに優れた魔法使いが失脚し迫害される様を山ほど見てきた。
Interesting to see him as a young man in this series for a moment, but also the notion of what first-class mages are for. It's not about power, but about being a symbol, to him anyway. So very much animated running!
マジかよ。魔力って完全に消せるもんなんだな。
Giving that a win because I too didn't know she could do that. I knew she could hide tons of it, and more so at will, but not basically all of it. She's amazing. Ahem. So very nice to watch an animal calmly approach the water and drink its fill before wandering off. Because we knew what's at stake and how tough they are, my entire insides got real tense when it landed on her. That was absolutely sick. I'm so happy for her and for them, but now worried about what comes next. It's starting, boys and girls, and the music only makes things that much more tense. Yet more different types of magic on display, turning flowers into pins, cool looking dude pushing up his glasses whilst getting hit too, and her using earth and throwing it like a cannon.
この時代の魔法使いならそれだけで十分だと。そう。
Too much to show, but she makes a comment of it's like fighting her grandfather going against Fern. I liked it because, as I mentioned once before, magic is like tech, it advances. No clue how they made mage battles so intense for me personally, but they somehow did it. It almost feels like they're fighting with blades, which they kind of are, I guess. It's no wonder it comes across as a blade fight when it's going down like this, but look at everything around them getting wrecked in the process. The closest thing I can liken that beautiful attack to is the best that Mob Psycho 100 had on hand to impress us. Very similar. I love how she's basically doing what she did against the demon foe. Absolute overwhelming levels of regular power, but to hear her begin to panic, just like he did, is amazing. And just like that, the battle is won by our girl Fern. Yet another new type of magic on display that he's mastered, and alongside it comes a description of how it works too. Feels like we're slowly entering a new age of these kinds of anime, where people don't just endlessly talk instead of fight, where characters take actions contrary to their goals. This is different. In the vein of the previous win, the fact that she said nothing whilst attacking, just furiously and in silence trying to near enough take his head off. They did this before as well. When doing something slightly against the grain of that prior win, they at least do that, addressing it. Getting a brief flashback for him in order to see what his difficult life has been like fighting demons in the north, but also how he's adapted to the horrors they threw at him and his people. This hugely tense moment, as there's nothing but nearly silence as the wind simply blows around them and the view zooms out. Very tense.
驚いたよ。とうに両手は血で染まっているのに、まだ人間でありたいと思っているんだ。
The way she put that is so poetic, understanding that he doesn't want to take her life like this. His whole mastery of magic is built around trying to avoid the inevitable.
動かないでください。
In a strange way, I don't mind that this has happened. She certainly doesn't seem like a good person, but not evil yet either. I'm still forming that opinion. Glad it wasn't taken away from me.
エーレと戦っていたな。あいつはどうした？
殺しました。
Two wins here. Firstly, I know they only just revealed how his ability works, but I really like how he's continued to stare at her, because he needs to, but still. Secondly, his very subtle reaction to hearing Fern say she killed the other mage. That twitch in the eye.
私を殺すんじゃなかったの？
不合格が確定したんだ。もう不要な殺しだ。
Him basically doing what she said he would, taking the first genuine reason given to him to not have to take her life and going with it, to remain as human as he can be. I do really like how he warned her here, though, that he's left her alive. That can change if you're now going to force him to take her life. That was badass. How these battles can sometimes appear so simple, and yet, when everything is added into the pot, it comes out looking beautiful.
君、魔力探知苦手でしょ。
Damn! That totally took me by surprise. So well done, I love it.
いつから？
That amazing looking moment where he's knocked out and you can see his magic control disappear, and thus the metal goes back to being flowers.
バカみたいに正面から戦いやがって。あの女は相当な化け物だな。
The aftermath of the battle that he can see, proving her words are correct, about being smashed by normal offensive spells, but the damage caused is insane.
ちょっと物みたいに運ぶつもりおんぶして
That is so damn funny. You can see how someone could take offense when it's done this way to them.
ビアベル、おんぶしてくれ。しびれて動けん。
くっそ、マジで何なんだよ。
Now he's got two like this, both requesting the same thing. I don't know why, but this tickled me.
俺たちの不合格は確定だな。
それなのに私たちを助けてくれるんだ。優しいのね。
She hits a decent nail on the head here. On the surface, you might think he's simply a side character, but the author builds on his personality a lot this episode, and it really evolves his image. Half the win is finding out that she met him when he protected her and her people when she was a kid, but also the completely different look of this demon. He's huge!
俺の場合は下心だ。故郷に好きなやつがいたんだよ。
クソったれな魔族どもは俺が全員ぶっ殺してやる。だからそん時はこの村に帰ってこい。
It's really good to again so early on see backstory for a character who likely won't be a major focus in the end, but I'm so happy to see it regardless. It's so interesting.
4つか5つのガキの頃の話だ。もう顔も名前も覚えちゃいねえ。
In a way, he's much the same as the old dwarf from a short while back, still protecting people even though the primary reason for doing so is now long gone. I like him.
どうした？
あれ？
Isn't it strange? In this moment there are collective enemies in a way, and yet my heart leapt when I saw that they might have one more chance to pass this test.
月が回ってくんのが遅すぎんだよ。
They caught the bird! I'm legit happy for them!
消えた。フリーレン、シュティレが。
面白い魔法だ。
The difference in experience here, shown via their shocked reactions, and Frieren not even moving a muscle.
これは争奪戦に見せかけた対人戦だ。
運も実力のうちだ。
Even this talk is interesting. She's saying the test is too difficult, he turned it into more of a battle because otherwise it's simply down to luck. Just intriguing that they'd talk this way. Not to be outdone, we're then given their thoughts on who will survive and more information regarding this old man and his reasons for taking the test, potentially politics related to a degree.
お前は勇者一行の魔法使いフリーレンだ。
Again, too long to show, but their whole prior interaction totally carried with it an air of tension once more, like a feeling that any second sparks could fly.
面白い。やってみろよ。
ラビーネ、こいつ強いよ。
知ってるよ。
How these two have slowly dropped more and more bickering and are now acting as a solid team, not backing down from this very real fight to the potential death. First of all, learning more about him via a simple statement and flashback, glad this is being done for so many characters. He's clearly a very important, influential and powerful man.
一級魔法使いに人死にの価値があるとは思えんだけだ。
それだけは同意見かな。
Secondly, because they both agree on this principle, which I felt also said a lot about him, unless it's of course a trick.
一級魔法使いの座についた者に特権を与えることを約束した。ゼーリエは人類の歴史上のほぼ全ての魔法を網羅する生ける魔導書。
How on earth the author managed to make the lore and story continuously intriguing is beyond me. Just little bits and pieces here and there alongside everything else, and yet another elf!
何度も言わせるなリヒター。たかがガキ二人だ。
Oh, there's that tension again, but this time it's between these two who are on the same team. I'm loving it. Seeing yet another new and unique magic spell at work, and goodness me if it isn't a doozy.
若いやつは血気盛んでいかんな。
Whoever created that song and decided it should be used here deserves a raise, because that gets the blood pumping. Showing that quickly as it's some of the cleanest looking walking animation I've seen in a while.
久しぶりだな、フランメ。
Killer from Hunter x Hunter! Also color me shocked that she is her master's master and they've met before too. Showing the same attack from the end of the last episode but from a totally new set of angles instead.
魔法というものは探し求めている時が一番楽しい。それだけだ。
His reasoning for not being interested in the special gift first-class mages are meant to get, which I'd wager very much is in line with Frien's own view on magic and the adventures she's had.
いらない。魔法は探し求めている時が一番楽しいんだよ。
And there we have what I just wrote as evidence and finding out that she turned down a gift back then too.
野心が足りん。燃えたぎるような野心が。この子はいつか魔王を倒すよ。
Nice to see that her sensei fully believed in her even all the way back then at the start.
戦いを追い求めるあなたには魔王を殺せない。私たちじゃ無理なんだよ。フリーレンは平和な時代の魔法使いだ。
Her reasoning as to why they couldn't destroy the Demon King, but Frieren could, was seriously engrossing. The gorgeous hand-on animation on the cracked ice under his feet.
Neftia!
The sounds and visuals on these attacks continues to be of the highest quality.
体の手の内は把握しているつもりだが。
Made the battle even more dynamic for me seeing an up-close shot like this, where he's attacked from the side and defends there too.
これでは本当にガキの重りだ。
The last win ends up being even more so in terms of being dynamic, as we're gifted a rotating shot as he attacks them at various angles and defends himself in a mound like this. Max wins here. So much credit for coming up with such an expansive lore regarding magic. It's much the same as Jobless Reincarnation in that regard, and it's equally impressive. Clever how he attacks right after too.
人の体にどう水が配分されているのか想像できるのか？それらを取り出して操るイメージは？
Wow! So, for context, she says, should you be approaching us so recklessly, 60% of the human body is made up of water, and he says this, which adds even more layers to how magic works and is cast. And now the start of the battle we've all been waiting for. Impressive looking already visually as it is that they're up there using so much mana by flying in the air.
このままでは魔力を削られて終わるな。老体にはちときついな。
Him basically agreeing with what I just wrote by it using tons of his mana stores.
倒すドルグ。
It's rare I win something as simple as this, but it's the fact that it's so clearly done by hand that wows me so much.
ところで昨日の晩くらいからか結界を解析しているやつがいる。
どちらにせよ無駄な行為だ。
Continued lack of exposition, just dropping this notion on us out of the blue and continuing on.
カタストラビア。
I'm proud to be a massive nerd. I just dig seeing all of these different types of spells being used. That on top of obviously enjoying all of the wild and wonderful visuals, of course. How subtle they make that. His eyes just slowly peering to the left, shocked that suddenly an attack is coming back at him in spite of everything he's constantly throwing her way. Just like that, she closes the distance after that feint, as it were, and launches a massive attack right in front of him.
信じられん。こいつは最後まで基礎的な戦闘魔法しか使っていなかった。
He's out of mana, she seemingly won, and I continue to be hyped up by how shocked people are that she and Fern use just the basics. Made me chuckle that in spite of how it might look, she's not really hurting him. Couple wins here to end the battle officially. Firstly, he showed his intelligence and experience by warning her not to use magic here or to fall for Frien's trick.
見つけた。
バカが。
Secondly, she then did fall for the trick and she caught her, effectively ending things.
わしの故郷は北部高原の奥地でな。
Couple more wins being thrown at you. Finding out why he wanted to become a first-class mage. In this case, because there was a grave in his hometown he wanted to visit and couldn't yet. Secondly, because we see said hometown and it looked lovely, as you'd expect from this anime.
結界の解析がちょうど終わった。
Ah, okay, fair enough. I figured it'd be an outside force checking out the barrier, but it was Frieren! Max wins again, and purely because the battles remind me of a similar quality, albeit rushed in Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. I mentioned that in the second season, the amount of unique angles and shots too.
天地がひっくり返って全然あのエルフの魔法使いが何者だ。
They get back-to-back max wins for that godlike animation as she kinda deconstructs, almost, the barrier itself and it smashes to pieces. I was in awe looking at that.
最後の大魔法使いか。
Wanted to include this with the last win, but honestly it deserves its own, and it's that reverence she often gets when people understand who she is, and I love when it happens.
なんでこんなことを？
カンネがかわいそうだったからね。魔法は自由であるべきだ。
結界が何が起こった？
Ah, I'm dumb. I wondered why she broke it, and finally now it makes sense. Duh.
一刻も早くとどめろ。
やっと隙を見せやがったな。
How quick she jumped in with that attack! Absolutely zero hesitation. Good on her.
リームストロー。
This literally made me laugh out loud, but the good kind? The kind where you're hyped up and in shock at how damn good a scene looks. Max wins again for that.
だから水が嫌いなの。
I like how he tried here, but there was like no hope whatsoever that the barrier would do anything. Such raw power.
よく頑張った。
なでんの。
Two wins. Firstly, her following through with her lessons learned in life, giving them credit where it's due. Secondly, the difference between them known via the flashbacks. One happy to get praised, the other more standoffish. Nice touch showing that the old man basically caught him with his leg so he didn't float off past them.
こういう時宮廷魔法使いならどうすると思う？最後まで醜くあがくんだ。
Big props to this old man. He stuck by his principles and has continued to fight to the very end to pass.
服が透けて見える魔法とか使いませんよ。
She's so adorable, and that reaction was perfection.
手の内はあまりさらさない方がいいんじゃないの？第二次試験からは僕らは敵同士なんだからさ。
Glad this was mentioned. It had been on my mind and I wasn't sure that'd be the case, but yeah, all against all later on.
腹をくくれ。あぐり合いじゃ。
How many frames were involved in that and the old man going badass all of a sudden? One more fully animated montage to end the episode, and the most prominent thing of note is they ended up getting the bird. The reveal that everyone who I wanted to pass did end up passing. I don't know which is better, the outside of this pub or the inside, both equally detailed. And Stark being over the moon and being able to stay up late. That'll do it for this one, ladies and gents. Hit that subscribe button to not miss the final video and more coming down the pipe. Check out the Patreon if you want to keep me going too. Love your faces. Darth Weirdo, Mal Liao, Nick Wyndham, The Elementator Wars, Christopher Willis, Emmanuel Gonzalez, Fancy Turtle, Kepan, Minimasher, Marquez, Nazomi, Orkeeper, Otter A. Bodonisi, Steelers, The Epic Commander, Bird Without a Word, Brandon Creer, Brian Bayot, Cameron, Christian Tuasa, Commander Chris, Doggos for Life, Dragonstorm 35, Aaron Winters, Guru, I Am Here, James Tafoya, Your Edvinson, Kevin Elston, Cumfroik, Kylie Welp, Lisa Marie Timp, Luis Minito, Magnus, Mr. Mansu, Nightly Winter, Peter Milligan, Ruby Rose, Satakayari, Zion 44, Sean, The 100s, Tiger Lily Warrior, Sumi Bito, A Joker, Alexander Schwartz, Ali 50, Amadillo, Brainless Ben, Cecilia, Cedric, Cloud Garden, Dante Soul, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Def the Kid 123, Devon, Dragon Defender, Esso, Garrett Vermish, Gibbs, Hove to Lowe's Ritter, Israel Caldera, Jason Davies, John, Juffa 6263, Kelnock, Kevin Nelter, Kevink 102, Knuckle Duster, Kai 158, Kyle Jones, Laxor, Laxus, Liam Gagati, Lifty, Lionel Schultz, Marvin, Matthew Blansett, Michael Lewis, Modiverum, Monty, Mudini, Mr. Firecool, Natsu Dragneel, Nick Monaco, Nick Pell, 9028, Ollie the Mighty, Oliver Smiley Reacts, Oscar I. Lopez, Owen Halloran, Q Flash, Ryan DeVries, Sarcastic Truth, Snow, Stan, Storm 970, TRS, The Danish Muggle, Thrasher 340, Vernon Hogan, Will Sass, Willy Man,